Welcome to another video tutorial brought to you by RiseSide Studios. We're going to do Photoshop's toolbar in 5 minutes. I'm going very fast, so feel free to rewind. Off the bat, we're going to start with the marquee tool. Marquees are actually selections that actually select parts of the image and makes you so you can only edit within that selection of that image. As you can see, there's different types of selections: circle, rectangle, single row, blah blah blah. There's also ways of doing it by hand. The lasso tool, for instance, will allow you to draw by hand. And then below that, the polygon does the same thing, except it gives you straight lines. After that, we also have the magnetic lasso tool, which basically follows the contrast of an area and it just grabs it, creating a very easy way to do a marquee. Then the other two ways of getting a marquee are the quick selection, which actually you drag and it will find it for you, or you do the magic wand. We just click and it finds it as well. That's it for the selections. Then we're going to move on to the moving. This is actually the move tool, which will allow you to move your image. If it's a locked layer, it won't be, but if you have it selected portion of the image, it'll actually allow you to cut and move it. As you can see, we have a background right here, and that's what was moved. Alrighty, moving past that, we have our crop tool, which actually allows us to select parts of the image that you want to keep and then hit double click it, and it actually gets rid of the rest. Then you have the slice tool, which is for web designers. They actually slice out different files to create several files when you export the final image. After that, we're going to go right to the healing brush. Essentially, this is a brush that allows you to sample part of the image and paint it someplace else. So basically, if I click there, I can paint that there. However, thinks for you, and it kind of blends it in nicely. These are basically the same thing. The patch tool does the same thing, except you can actually find the sample from someplace else with a marquee. Then we have the spot, which actually you can tap on blobs like that and it'll actually get rid of them, which is kind of nice. The red eye is for red eye. You just click on the red eye, it'll go away. This is the original clone stamp. Essentially does exactly what I said before as that, but this will actually bring everything over. Below that's the pattern. I don't use it. It's not very popular. Next we have the brush, the pencil, and the color replacement tool. These are essentially the same thing. They just basically paint color on. Pencil paints one pixel line, and this will just basically change the color of the background. After that, we're going to have the history brush, which is nice. It'll actually allow you to go back in time and paint where you want things to be back to the way they were earlier. Then we have the eraser tools. Each one's a little bit different. This basically just erases the standard. The background will erase only the background, only the first selected click, and then below that, magic eraser will erase whatever you click on everything. Afterwards, we have our paint bucket. Eventually, that just fills in with color. So if I want to just fill in color there, it does it. And then you have your gradient tool, which does the same thing, but pretty much everywhere that's not selected. Next, you have your smudge tool, which actually smudges out your image by just dragging it around. And then below that, you have, or in that, you have your blur tool, which is just what it sounds like. It blurs where you drag. And then the sharpen tool, which sharpens but looks very junky. I wouldn't use it. Next, you have your dodge and burn, which basically the dodge will lighten wherever you rub, and the burn will darken wherever you rub. And then below that's a sponge, and this basically, depending on your settings, it will either take away or add color, saturation. Past that, we have the pen tool, which creates a custom shape, and there it is. And then there's different features of that right there. But next to that is the type tool, which is just what it sounds like. You click and you type and it creates text. As you can see underneath the type tool, there are several different features you can pick from to do different edits. And then you have your path and direct selection tool. This is to work with your custom shape so you can actually adjust it and do little tweaks to it. Next under here we have different types of ways of making a vectored image. That's a square, obviously, and then we around a rectangle, and this is for doing some more things like buttons and kind of like Photoshop web stuff. Alright, the last four are very simple. Basically this will allow you to leave a note, and later on someone could find that. And below that is the anecdote, which will actually allow you to start a little recording, and whoever finds it will see it later. Next we have the eyedropper, color sampler, and the other tools. Basically the way these work is you click there, gives you the sample up there, or you can go over here and actually take several different samples and leaves them over to the right. The hand tool is to drag around your image when you're zoomed in, and then you have your zoom, which will zoom in, and then if you hold down Alt, it zooms out. That's it, everything in 5 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a lovely day.